I've been a fan of beat 'em up since I was a kid. I had a ton of fun playing games like River City Ransom, Double Dragon. I've watched the entire genre evolve alongside gaming tech, and I've played as many as I can get my hands on. This has been my toughest refund window entry by far. I really wanted to love this game. How's it going? It's Hesh from No Frills. Welcome to Refund Window, where I play a game for the duration of a 2-hour Steam refund window time limit. See if it's any good. If it is, I'll keep it. If not, into the bin it goes. Today I'm checking out Midnight Fight Express, a top-down isometric 3D beat 'em up with motion capture graphics. Looks pretty good from the Steam page, so let's get into it. We all know games are more than just a pretty package, and while they aren't exactly cutting edge, the graphics in Midnight Fight Express are solid and well done. They do feel a bit stock asset-ish. While not necessarily a bad thing, it sure doesn't help make the game any more memorable. The art direction shines in the character design. There's a ton of different enemies to fight, and some of them are super cool. The environments themselves, they're pretty standard fare, but they do fit perfectly with the storyline. They do tend to get a little cluttered sometimes. There are too many choke points with geometry to get stuck on, and the enemies will bunch up around you. Add in some environmental hazards, you're gonna have a bad time. The player controls are really snappy, and the motion capture is really cool. The moveset's super fun to play with, and you can even pick up some environmental objects and weapons, and just kick the crap out of everything with them. This is where it all started to fall apart for me. You can pretty much button mash your way through everything. There are some enemies that have some different guards and shields and things you have to break to overcome, but I was able to bash my way through pretty much every single one of them. Not a deal breaker, but it turns the enemy type into more of a source of frustration rather than forcing a change of tactic. As you move through the levels, you'll start encountering enemies that have guns. You can take these away and use them against them. This is also super cool, but it really becomes overused quite quickly, and it changes the entire pace of the game. Not a bad thing in small doses, but they use it so much, it's almost like they ran out of ideas and are trying to kind of pad it out for time a little bit. Now, all of this I can deal with. I've played a ton of games that were a bit rough around the edges. Although Midnight Fight Express has a good amount of polish and some cool features, it does suffer from what I consider some near-fatal flaws with the actual gameplay and overall design. I could get extremely nitpicky, but there are two things that stand out to me. This leaves me with a simple question. Is it enough to push this over the line into refund window failure territory? Short answer, I don't have an answer. I had mentioned earlier that this has been my toughest refund window entry yet, and I was not joking. I almost scrapped the idea entirely, but I learned something from it, and that's that not all games are quite refund window material, but how am I supposed to know that? I couldn't, as I haven't played them yet. I don't mind waffling or sitting on the fence a little when it comes to a game, because I'm not here stating facts, I'm merely presenting opinion. That said, there are some things that would cause me to avoid this game at full price, so I guess that technically makes it a fail. I'll explain what I mean. Cutscenes and dialogue are great in games when done well, and by done well, I don't simply mean look good. Aside from the fact that the dialogue reads like it was written by an edgy 6th grader, there's this talking drone that follows you everywhere you go, filling you in with bits of the story as you progress. Not bad, if not for the fact that every time the damn thing speaks, it pops up a mortal dialogue box. This prevents you from interacting with anything until you press through all the damn text cards. Add this to the short cutscenes that play every time you encounter a group of enemies, an additional introducing little shot of the new enemy type, which I do like these, but they're a bit overdone. It just stops you dead in your tracks. All the little parkour and door kicking, it just becomes a source of frustration because that damn drone starts talking every time you're about to do something. The levels are so short and so cluttered in areas, it's a bit awkward to get a good flow going, and when you do, the encounter ends so quickly in most cases, you wind up playing like 60-second rounds of stop and go. Super frustrating and dilutes the gameplay far too much in what feels like yet another pad for time. There are a few sweet moves you can unlock, like grapples and finishers, and there's all sorts of environmental hazards to avoid. This is where I had another issue. A few of the animations, they get quite lengthy, and if you happen to trigger one, which is really easy to do on accident, when you're in range of one of the hazards, you're cooked. There's nothing you can do. It's going to lead to a lot of intentional and unavoidable deaths. Not so fun after the 4th or 5th time. This could 100% be a me issue, but I'll be looking around to see if others have experienced the same thing. There's a good game here, it just got some issues. There was a jet ski minigame, that was pretty fun. The story, it's very much comic book inspired, it seems, just way overdone. There's multiple game modes, so you can play through the 40 levels. Yeah, 40 levels. I would much prefer longer and fewer levels for sure. There's some useless cosmetics you can buy. I mean, these are cool, but ultimately useless. And the soundtrack's pretty awesome, if a bit repetitive. Overall, the game is fun when you can actually play it. While I did find some enjoyment with Midnight Fight Express, it came in small, bite-sized chunks and just wasn't enough for me to consider a full-price purchase a good value. It might sound super stingy, but I think the lowest price they've shown on a Steam database of $11.99 far more fitting for a title like this, although $9.99 would be perfect. I'm not saying the game is bad by any means, despite what it may seem. It's got its moments for sure, but they're just a bit too few and far between for my taste. Your mileage may vary. Once again, thanks for hanging out with me, and as always, I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one. How's it going, it's Hash. If you liked what you saw even a tiny bit, do me a favor, shoot me a like and a sub, and if you're feeling awfully generous, give me a share, man. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks.